Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Big MX Radio Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Racetech. Racetech Suspension and Engines. More often than not, you're going to find out that you have a Racetech service center in your general area. Those are experts who can help you get the bike, the chassis, and the motor operating at their absolute optimum level, and you want to go do that so that you can enjoy your motorcycle that much more. If you enjoy it more, you're going to ride it more, and that means throttle therapy for you, and you just want to do that. So go ahead and do it. I am your host, Brad Gebhart. With me on the line from Alaska. That's right, Alaska. Chase Anderson. Welcome to the podcast.
What's up?
Dude. The 130 in your program, number one in your hearts, especially if you're a big fan of all people from the Great White North, which you are currently at. I haven't called a lot of 907 area codes. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, no, it's definitely rare up here. You'd be surprised how many people we got riding up here, but to take it to the next level, like me and a few other people up here are, it's definitely something rare.
Fair enough. So, like you growing up, I'm trying to think of who was it that was from Alaska?
LeMay?
Ben LeMay. So, is this like
Yep.
is that your Doug Henry? I'm trying to think of like all like the local guy that you looked up to. Like he's way before your time because like what year are you born?
I was born in '08.
That's so messed
LeMay
up.
He
turned
Ben
pro
is definitely
before that.
I mean, yeah. He's a good dude. He was really fast. I remember one time in Kenai, I was really young and I'd walked up to him. It was probably like my second, third year racing, just in the local Alaskan tracks, and I had him sign my neck brace, and I still have it hanging up in my room to this day.
That is dating yourself, because when was the last time anyone wore neck braces with any type of confidence?
Right? Yeah, I just walked up to him, and he was, always been a good guy. He's been at the gate with me at Loretta's a few times too. I wouldn't say he's someone I necessarily looked up to, if I'm being honest, but he's, obviously he's the biggest name in Alaska, and he has some pretty dang good. He's got a good reputation. He's got some pretty good records up in pro motocross too, being the most raced, premier class or something like that. But the most races, in. So it's definitely cool, and it's definitely something to look forward to if I ever have something to go for, like being the best in Alaska, which is definitely one of my goals. But he's got a big name, but he's definitely. I've looked up to him, and he's a good dude.
Fair enough. Well, upon that review of his character, I might have to make Ben LeMay the second 907 number that I dial up for a podcast, because I've actually never had Ben on the show. I've met him a number of times at the races, but never reached out to have a podcast. So at the very least, you beat him on here.
Yeah, no, he's a good dude. Yeah, I'm sure you'd love him.
For sure. So we first linked up at the Spring a Ding Ding about 10 days ago. You were pouring the coals through admittedly to yourself, a sacked out and pretty slow YZ125, which despite the fact that you just besmirched the good name of YZ125s everywhere, you were still able to pull some hole shots and have some pretty solid motos on what you admitted was a pretty slow motorcycle.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely on greats. My starts are absolutely dialed. I mean, I've always been a good starter, but I don't know, the reaction time mixed in with some technique. I definitely put a lot of time with my working on my starts with a lot. So being on that slow bike, like you said, it's the only thing it's got on it is a pipe and ignition. That's it. No motor work at all. It's got over 80 hours on the frame. My mom bought it for me 2 years ago at Loretta Minios 2023. And that was also my first race back in over a year after I took a whole year off. So yeah, I'd never really used it as an excuse being on, a slower dirt bike. But I truly believe in my heart that if you're the guy, you're the guy. It doesn't matter what you ride, as long as it's relatively, a good bike. And my bike is a good bike. I take care of it. I do all the bike work myself, with the exception of some help from other people. But I rebuild my pistons. I change my clutches. I rebuilt the piston the day before my race at Spring a Ding Ding, and did my clutch and all that. But so it's definitely it's self-discipline, doing that all myself too. And I definitely learned from the best. My dad and my cousin Carl helped me out a lot, and the whole Darling family lived with them, and they helped me out. Max Darling, he's a pro. He used to train me too. But he helped me, learn about how to do all that and all that. So, but yeah, being on a slower bike, it's definitely something to be proud of. But it also, kind of sucks seeing how, how well I might do on a faster bike. But that's not something that I linger on, because I know that, the light's visible at the end of the tunnel. My mom, finishing nursing school very soon, as of this next few weeks. And, it's awesome to see. I'm proud of her, and I'm proud of myself that we've made it this far, even after my dad's death.
Right. I was about to say, strength through adversity, my friend. You've overcome a lot, not just a down on horsepower 125. And it was actually, when we walked over, the guy from Huxon brand, his name's escaping me in the moment, but, he had mentioned just how incredible of the story that you are, especially given the fact that you did face that adversity of losing a parent, your dad. That's big, and especially because so often in this sport is introduced to us by our fathers, and it's often the first guy who takes us to the line, the first guy that shows us how to work on bikes. And in a lot of ways, I think you're able to keep a lot of the things that you shared with him alive, in the fact that, like, when you're able to ride and whenever you're working on bikes, the foundation of that is with your dad. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He taught me more than I could ever, more than I can ever express. And feel free to ask any questions too. It's all good. He was an amazing person. He helped me chase my dream, and along with my mom, allowing it and helping out and being supportive and doing everything she can as well, even after his death. He passed away in 2022 from a plane crash here in Alaska. He was flying his own plane, which he enjoyed a lot, and it was good to see him doing something he enjoyed, and at least he went out doing something he enjoyed. So in result to that, I ended up taking a year off. Nobody's fault at all. It also kind of, maybe I needed a break, and I realized that. But that whole year off, it made me realize how much I actually love what I do and how much I actually want to do it. So in the end of 2023, around a year and a half later, my mom ended up buying me a bike, and in the lower 48, and I went down with maybe less than 2 weeks of training on the bike. I raced GPF on my cousin's 250, and I ended up getting third in 250B against, Caden Dudney, Landon Gibson, Ryder Thompson, all that, with a week on the bike. So that was pretty impressive. But we ended up going to Minios that year, and I got 4 top tens in the schoolboy 1 and 125 classes between Supercross and motocross. And it's honestly, again, it's really impressive seeing myself do this good with this little seat time. And that's the same thing that just happened at these last races, at Springading and Freestone. But I'm still really proud of the way I rode and how I did. I believe my style and my technique is really good, even though I can get a little rowdy sometimes. But, it's all thanks to my dad for introducing this to me and my whole family when we were young. He definitely got us all into it. And, he used to do it when he was young, racing in Alaska. And he definitely gave me the mindset, and, he gave me the heart for it. And, I couldn't be more thankful.
100%. And so was Dad a racer as well? Did he throw a leg over a bike?
Yeah, a little bit. When he was younger, he used to tell me stories about him being like him and my uncle being sponsored by Suzuki in Alaska here. Nothing special, nothing big, but they had Bob Hannon and all those big guys come up to Anchorage a few times and race up in Anchorage. And, the track was amazing back then compared to what it is now, to be honest. But those big names used to come up here and my dad just loved it. He loved anything with wheels on it. And, he bought me my first bike, him and my mom, when I was like, I'm going to say 2.5, 3 years old. I hopped on one. I was off training wheels within the first month or so, and I was 3 years old racing and winning, and I realized that I excelled in it. So they took the chance. My dad took the chance on me, and we went into, I believe my first race was Washington, area qualifier, Washougal in 2015 on a little KTM mini adventure that, some local Alaskan guys paid some good money for to help out, deck it out. So at that point we were taking our bikes and taking it apart and rebuilding it out of coolers and hotel rooms and rental cars and all that. So that's how we started that out. And then went to Cali for a few years on 50s. 2015, I ended up going to Loretta's for my first time. I qualified with ease. And I ended up getting fifth. So from that on, it was kind of like, oh crap, we actually, we can maybe do this for a living. And so from there it took off. 2016, and I mean, again, just repeatedly racing. And 2017 actually had a pretty big crash here in Alaska, broke my hip at 9 years old, and had to have surgery and all that. Missed out on Loretta's that year too, but I did qualify. I got the tickets and everything. And 2018, to be honest, is where the racing really started to excel. I mean, I got fifth at Loretta's and all that, but it's just on a little 50. So we went to Minios that year and all the previous races. I got, I think, like 9th or 10th at Loretta's that year on a Husky 65. And we went to Minios, and I ended up winning the 65 7 and 9 class, the mod class, on a stock bike on a Husky with I don't even know. It was Kylie Stallings' old bike, actually.
Oh, okay.
So I was training out of Oklahoma at the time, and we ended up going to Minios. I got first and third that year. And for whatever reason, I really excel at Minios. I love the track. I love the Supercross. I love Supercross in general. I always excel at it because, if I'm being honest, I think a part of it is because of the lack of seat time that I've always had. Even when my dad was here, I was still taking months off. And so I think Supercross, it's not too rough. I think I mentioned that when I seen you in real life too. The Supercross, it's not rough. It's a shorter moto, short start, helping me out with the bike power and all that. So I have over 10 podiums at Minios, I think, throughout the years. And I've won it twice. I think 3 thirds, and 3 seconds as well. And so yeah, nine podiums at Minios. So I definitely excel there, But yeah, dude, it's awesome. It's truly awesome.
Certainly is a blessing. And it seems to me that the more that you lean into the sport, the more the sport leans into you, not only from a passion, a throttle therapy side of things, but also you're getting good results. You're if only you had more time spent on the bike, maybe you go down and ride with a guy like Robbie Raynard a little bit more, or something along those lines, and receive that next level support. Hey, maybe there's more inside, and I think you're currently in the process of sort of trying to uncover those types of things. And at this point, I know you already have a ton of great sponsors and people that are backing you. Who are some of those people that have sort of gotten your corner, who consistently they support you and have got you to where you're at? And it does sound like you're a little bit of a you're ready to do some barnstorming and looking for some support on top of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always, my door's always open for new people if they want to come in. Everybody in Alaska, there's a lot of people. It's pretty ridiculous the amount of people that support me up here, and I couldn't be more grateful. as of sponsorship goes, the Valley Imaging Center and Pioneer Peak Orthopedic Surgery. The dude, I've broken myself more times than I can count. And Greg Strohmeyer, he in Pioneer Peak Orthopedics, they've sponsored me for years on end. Eric Wanzer, Fish Creek Sales, local brands and companies all over Alaska help me out. The DC 907 Diesels and all those guys. Kenny Withrow, my cousin, and Carl, his son races, and all that. He let me live with him and all that, and brought my bike everywhere and took me places and let me live with him a bunch, even after my dad passed and before my dad passed. So there's a lot of people, and I genuinely couldn't be more thankful. It's crazy. And I was on EBR Performance for I think over 4 years, the end of 2018 to 2022. I was with Josh and EBR on their full factory support team. So there's definitely a lot that's come into it, and again, always open for more people. No, nobody's getting shut out, and I couldn't be more thankful, and I couldn't be more thankful, and I'm excited to see what this year holds, because I think it's gonna be a good year for me. I'm focusing on staying healthy, and I'm hoping some people are watching me and noticing me, and I bet they are. I'm putting on a good show for the first few laps at least, but I'm just excited to see what I can do with a few months prep and with a fast bike. And there's this new guy, Al Patechko. He helped out Blaze Grimaldi for the longest time. He's helping out a few other people, and he is a good dude. I think I'm gonna go stay with him around May 1st, and he's got me into Sandbox. He's a really good dude, and it's definitely helping me out a lot.
Perfect. The wheels are already turning for you to spend a little bit more time down south. But I think there's a lot of people who are listening that would be awfully curious as to what the local landscape looks like racing in Alaska. Like, is there a local series? Are there groom practice days? Where do you put it in the like when you are able to ride? When where do you end up doing it? Obviously one of the big things up here is in the next couple of weeks everybody's going to go be trying to find anywhere where there's some sort of sand, because that's usually the first place that you can do some riding. Very curious also what the soil construction is like up there. I assume probably pretty rocky if you're on the West Coast like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got a few tracks. My dad ended up building one a few years ago. We got one in Sutton, Anchorage, Kincaid is what it's called. There's one in Kenai, Twin Cities Raceway, and Fairbanks has one as well. They're all pretty rocky. The more north you go, I think Fairbanks isn't too rocky. Kenai is south, and that's like kind of, I mean, us Alaskans, we call it sand, but it's not nothing compared to what I train in Florida, but it's definitely, there's a few open ride days out of the year and prepped ride days, but we do have our local series here. Anchorage does their own thing, and we have a whole state series as well where we go around and go to different tracks around Alaska. I think there's only like 4 big ones. So, there's not much, but you'd be surprised at how many people actually ride up here. It's pretty cool.
Fair enough. Who's your regular crew?
So we got actually a few people that race the local Alaskan, circuits, and they actually come down and race Alaska. The Alaskans come down and race and do all these things. So there's my cousin Carl. He's podiumed C-class at Minios a few times. He just recently moved up to A-class, C to A, so that was a big jump for him. But we got Ryden Ramos. His whole family, has helped me out so much. Like last year at Springading, I won the Supercross in 125 BC. And I was staying with them at the time. Just him and his mom and his dad, Nate and all them. Nate and Olga are their names, and they're awesome people. They race up here, and there's and Landon Peppard races.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, he actually lives like 10 minutes away from me, and Tristan Moffitt and all them. Tristan Moffitt almost won Loretta's in C class, and he's a professional arena cross racer. He's struggling with some injuries, but I think if he can get all that sorted out, he'll be up and running for. But yeah, he's racing arena cross and all that, and there's a lot of good people, and there's no one bad. There's no beef up here. There's nothing. They're all genuine people. They're all just want to help. They all want to see each other succeed, and it's actually awesome. It's like a big family, and they all support me and everybody else, and it's awesome.
That's sick. Landon Peppard. He was riding down at Kevin Wyndham's for a bit there. Farm 14, was he not?
Yeah, he was. Landon's a good friend of mine. He's really chill. He's a good kid. He's a good dude. Absolutely nothing wrong. I'm not sure exactly what he's doing with his racing right now, but he definitely had some good years, and it was awesome to see just another Alaskan up there, winning this type of stuff, and it was pretty cool.
That is super cool. So, who is it that, like, obviously you like we talked right off the rip, you're looking up to, Ben LeMay, but, who do you look up to, or who's somebody that, you model your style after, currently up in Alaska, or is there everyone, are you the big dog up there now?
I race the pro classes up here in Alaska, and, you get paid for it sometimes, on my 125 and all that. And, there's not too many people in Alaska, I have, countless, Landon Peppard and all those guys, they don't really race in Alaska too much. And when they do, they come down and they sweep up, and I feel like that's the same with me. But, as for, traveling and getting all that stuff down there to Alaska, I know you mentioned that earlier. It's definitely difficult, the whole traveling thing and the getting everything down and my bikes and all that. I usually end up buying the bikes in wherever I'm at, and ship them there or buy them down there. And it's hard, because there's some people that live, 10 minutes from the track, and they got their own house, and it's a living situation for me is like one of definitely the hardest things to find, and one of the hardest things to get down, because I've stayed with a few different people, but yeah, like I said, that's definitely the number one problem right now, being 16, and I have to have an adult there, and we're figuring it out, and we've always made it work. And again, we've had so much support for so many Alaskans, and also people down in the States. Everybody's awesome to me. Everybody's awesome. It's a big family. So yeah, it's a struggle, but we make it work.
It certainly is, and you certainly are. Riding the 125 is, I hate to say it, but is it a little bit of almost like a financial decision? Because as soon as we start riding 4-strokes, we started increasing some compression. Like, I've talked to Mitch Payton about this. Like, his racing team from 2004 onward, just take his team budget and times it by 4.
Yeah, so the whole 125 thing, when I took a year off after my dad passed away in 2022, I was on 85s.
Right.
It was right before Loretta's. Yeah, it was like 2 or 3 weeks before Loretta's that he passed away for that year. I ended up still racing it, which, I don't think was the best idea given my mindset and all that. I did terrible, but, I went out there and did it. But, yeah, the whole year off, and it's definitely a struggle. My mom went to nursing school like a week prior, and prior to his death, so that kind of put a strain on everything, and stressed everything out more. So I took a whole year off, and But like I said, I mentioned in my Instagram post, and I've said earlier, the light is visible at the end of the tunnel. My mom is finishing nursing school. I'm trying to learn new ways to make money, and she's doing the best she can. And again, we have a lot of support. So money is it's hoping to be less of an issue now. But as for the 125, we kind of just moved up after 2022, and we are debating about a 250 maybe after Loretta's or before Loretta's. I'm not quite sure yet. But the 125 as of now, it definitely has a little bit, at least the slightest, bit to do with money. But again, I do have some good people that are willing to do a lot for me, and I couldn't be more thankful for them. But yeah, the 125, it's, I've flow on it. I'm good. I just feel like I really excel on 250. So we're kind of in the middle of it right now. So I'm not quite sure what we're going to do, but I'm hoping to be on a 250 at least by the end of the year by the end of Loretta's.
That is awesome. So when it comes to for Loretta's, are we talking like 125 BC and Schoolboy? Is it Schoolboy 1 that does 125 or is it Schoolboy 2? I can never remember.
Schoolboy 1's 125. So I'll be racing 125 BC 12 to 17 and Schoolboy 1.
Schoolboy 1. And like, are we earmarking Washougal as the regional that you go to? I assume you've probably already gone to an area, if you haven't already gone to an area for Loretta.
Yeah, so I raced literally like 2 days after I got into the States a few months ago, or a month ago.
You're in the States now, by the way.
Nationals. Oh yeah. So we us Alaskans, we call the lower 48 the States, and all that. It's but yeah. We're in the States right now, the lower 48. So when I go down to the lower 48, I already did one area qualifier, and that's another thing that's kind of confusing us a little bit on what we're going to do with the 125 or 250s. I went and qualified on a 125 for the Schoolboy 1 and 125 BC classes, but I'm not sure. I think you can go to the regional either way, but yeah.
Fair enough. That's good to hear. I'm looking forward to seeing you down at the ranch. It is its own monster, honestly. It's a track that probably suits you. You said you like it to be tight. It is. I wouldn't even say that it's a high speed track because there aren't a lot of really wide open spots. It can, like, obviously the one thing that I noticed about, especially on the 125 class, is like, every single one of those kids has the pace. Every single one of those kids has the fitness to be able to go 20 minutes. A lot of it comes down to the start, but if you don't get the start, you have 20 minutes to leave the bike pinned and make some special things happen. Like when you look back at the times that you've been able to go to the ranch, like do you have one of those motos where you got a bad start and just worked your way through?
There's definitely been a few times. Loretta's isn't, surprisingly, it's a track that mini bikes excel on, and super minis have gotten the fastest lap time there, even more than the pros and the 250A and all that. It's pretty cool. But there's been a few times at Loretta's that I've came through the pack. I'm, for whatever reason, I'm not the best at dirt starts. I think I just got to drill them in and drill them into my head and get it all good to go. Which we will do, but there's been a few times at Loretta's where I've come out and I've finished, I think my best finish is 4th or 5th in a moto. I've never podiumed there or finished in a podium position, but this year I think we're going to change that, and I've always locked in this year, but I think I'm really confident in my riding, and I'm confident in my health, and I think this year's going to be good for me, and I think this is going to be a breakout year if I can play my cards right, and everything's looking bright and everything's looking good, and my mindset is I'm in a good place, and I'm excited for this year and this upcoming Loretta's if we can get it done.
April, May, June, July. Better part of 4 months before we descend on Hurricane Mills, Tennessee. Sounds like a long time. It isn't. What does that 4 months look like for you? what would you like to be able to see in your own progression of riding? And it sounds like you're going to spend some time down in Florida with Ben Riddle and the rest of the Sandbox crew.
Yeah, so I think my riding, when I know I'm good, is when I can go a solid like 30 minutes. I do train, I do cardio and all that off the bike too, but we all know it's nothing compared to actually riding the bike. And I think where my progression I see the most is when I can start being smooth on the bike, because I've always been one to acclimate really quickly, and I've always been forced to get on the bike and go no matter what. I was raised as a kid, with broken levers and bent bars, and so I really am not a picky person with the stuff about my bike either. I ran stock bars for years. All EBR and all that. I never spent money on pegs or bars or anything like that until one of my trainers, like last year or 2 years ago, was like, dude, you got to try some new bars. And I'm like, what's wrong with mine? He's like, dude, you're running stock bars. So I tried it, and I'm running the Pro Taper ACF bars now, and they're pretty sweet. They're awesome. And I can definitely notice it. But I think there's a lot that I need to work on as far as riding goes. I know I have the raw speed, and I proved that with the opening laps of my motos at Springading and Freestone, even though I didn't finish the best. My opening 2 or 3 laps, I was making moves on these kids that live at training facilities, and it's awesome to see that I can do that with myself. But again, it's a little heartbreaking knowing the potential that I can have and the riding that I can do. But I think, again, this year is going to be a good year for me. I think this is my breakout year, and I have a lot of support, probably more than ever. So I think this year is going to be good for me, and we're going to have a good bike, and my health is going to be good, and I'm going to focus on that, and I'm going to try to be smooth on the bike during training, and drill some drills into my head, and I'm excited. It's going to be a good year.
Absolutely. That's got to put some wind in your sails, and like kid next to you or someone that you just put a pass on is 24/7, 365, locked into riding dirt bikes. They've got an absolute rocket ship of a 125, if that even exists, underneath them. And yeah, they're looking at, the back tail section of the 130 machine. Before I let you go, I want 2 things. What advice would you have for young racers, very much like yourself up here in Canada, or maybe in a northern state they're like, if you're in Minnesota, you also get 3 or 4 months of frigid winter. What advice would you have for those kids to be able to knock off the rust and sort of do a lot of the sort of a similar situation like you do and overcome that adversity, as well as when you think about your riding and what you're going to be, the imprint you're going to be able to put on this sport, what would you like you're still a pretty young kid, but what would you like to have as your legacy for this sport going forward?
So as for advice for, some kids that are having some struggles, there's a lot you need to do. You need to have the right mindset. You need to, always be kind, always be nice, no matter what. I never take my anger out on anyone. I've learned to control my emotions, and no matter what happens, just know it'll all be okay. And I wasn't really forced. I didn't really have religion forced on me as a kid, and I'm thankful for that. But I'm also thankful that I've turned my back, that I've turned to God, and I'm starting to go to church and read the Bible, and it's helped me a lot with my mindset the past few months, and I have someone to always rely on and look forward to, and also you can't give up. You ride anytime you can on what you can. When I was a kid growing up, obviously it's not going to do as much as you riding this factory bike at these rough tracks, but when I grew up, I was riding on these junk bikes that my parents were doing everything they could, and the subframes bent, bars bars cracked, but I made it work. I made it happen. And that's why I am who I am today. And that's why I have the success I have today, is because I never gave up. And I'm again hoping this year. My bike is absolutely dialed, even my one with 80 hours on it. So you just got to look at it a little bit different angle. The possibilities that you may have if you put in the work now, it's just going to it's going to make life a lot easier when you have that factory back support. And that's where I want to get. That's where I'm aiming for. And as for an imprint on this sport, obviously everyone's going to say the lame answer, I want to be the best, but if I'm being honest, I do want to be the best. I want to prove that no matter what happens in your life, you can come out as number one, as a good person. And number two, that you can succeed at what you do. And I want to see myself become better person than I am today. And I want to see myself become a faster rider than I am today. And I don't care how long it takes. I don't care, I am getting a little bit older, but I don't care how long it takes. I want to be that guy. I want to be the people that people are scared of when they go to the gate. And I want to be the guy that, that disrupts the crowd and shows up, and people are, people like, oh, it's that guy, I want to be that guy. I want to leave that footprint that, I want to leave a good impression on people always too. But I'm excited again this year. I'm always looking to be better and better myself. Never hold grudges, and be a good person and put in the work. And I think anyone can make it if they have the right mindset.
Absolutely. And then on top of that, I know you run those Huxon brand graphics, so you're going to be riding good, but you'll also be looking good at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Swapping my number to 130 is a good one as well. I've been 13 for years and years and years on end. And I was like, you know what, it's time for a change. So I changed it. Going into pros, you're going to need a 3-digit as well. So I was like, I'll mess around with it as well. And one thing I didn't mention is you got to have good people around you too. You gotta, take out all the bad and, just come out on top of all that, no matter what's going on around you. Cause I know there's definitely a lot, everybody's going through different stuff, but there's a lot going around me. And, again, you just always have to stay positive, and you have to surround yourself with good people that are willing to help. And, it's you just gotta stay positive and keep good people around you. And that's all that matters. Just a good mindset, good people around you, and make sure you have the mindset to make it work. And yeah.
Love it. Chase Anderson here on the Big MX Radio podcast. I really appreciate you making some time for me this afternoon. I'll let you get back to your regularly scheduled training program up in the Great White North, and looking forward to seeing what you come up with, not only here in 2025, but the years to come, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I'll try to put a show on for all y'all and you this year.
Definitely, and you will certainly be a repeat offender on the podcast. Before I let you go, run down those sponsors for me real quick, man. Some people who are in your corner.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. My mom finishing nursing school this year, overcoming all of her challenges with, me and my brother being in a pain in the butt, but we try our best. I got Kenny and Carl, my cousins, Popeye's Paving PSR. That's, a big one on my bike. I just recently signed with Thor MX, and Evan from Thor. Yeah, they got me kitted out, gave me a free chesty and helped me out a lot. DC 907 Diesels from Alaska. Again, Valley Imaging Center, Eric Wanzer, Derek, Pioneer Peak, the Ramos family, and for letting me stay with them. And again, Kenny Withrow, couldn't thank him enough for feeding me and helping me out. And Al Patechko, he was at the gate with me at these last races, helping me out a lot, like big time. So yeah, I couldn't be more thankful again for the people around me, and they're all really good people, and they all just want to see me succeed, and I couldn't be more thankful.
Certainly, man. I think this year, if you're in a particularly rocky track, you got to try and outsource a Thor Sentinel from like the mid-early 2000s. Like, you know, that like the Villapoto era Thor like Chest Pro they used to run over top.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need to try and find one of those. In fact, I think I might even have one of those. And if I do, I will mail it to you. That would be so badass.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, let's do it.
Cool, man. Well, you have yourself a great rest of your day. I really appreciate making some time for the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good day, man. I appreciate you having me on and trying to get my name out there. It means a lot.
No problem at all, my friend. You have yourself a great rest of your day. Do not hang up just yet. But for podcast sake, we're going to cut things off right there.